I love Kingdom Hearts 1. This is tied for my favorite game of all time. And it is my favorite title in the series. And finally, we are playing it on the channel. It's crazy to think that I've been doing this content since October and have not touched the game yet. But since we just passed the 2-year anniversary since Kingdom Hearts 4 was announced, I need some Kingdom Hearts in my life, and I know you all do as well. So let's go over the rules of this challenge, as it is pretty straightforward. The first rule is that the game has to be set on Proud Mode. This makes enemies hit you way harder, and in a later rule, you will see why this matters. For the second rule, no changing or adding equipment for Sora, Donald, and Goofy. We can only use the base items they were given, such as the Kingdom Key for Sora. And the third and final rule is that we have to choose the Dream Sword as our buff, and we have to discard the Dream Shield. This makes us hit way harder, but this also makes it so we get hit way harder. For a no equipment run, this means we just take more damage, as our strength level will not really be that impacted with choosing the Dream Sword, since we only have a Kingdom Key. Now, I know that there is a rule that some other people use, but I will not be using this rule. This rule being setting hard EXP gain. When asked the questions at the start of the game by Tidus, Selphie, and Wakka, the level of the question determines how much EXP a level up needs. This honestly just adds more grinding time and doesn't really add any real challenge, so I'm going with easy EXP gain to cut down on the grinding time. With all that out of the way, let's get into the run. Going through the tutorial is straightforward. You get to level 2, which is important for later grinding, and we fight the tutorial boss. Defeating the Dark Side boss is optional. If you get him, it's nice so you don't have to grind on the island, but if you are a greedy little man like myself, you will try to get tech points for an easier level up, and you will most likely be defeated. Now, out of the tutorial, we go straight for an easy grind on the island to set up for the later Dark Side boss. So, we go straight to Wakka.
Hey, what's happening, man?
Wakka is super easy to level up on, as you get constant tech points from hitting him with his own blitz balls. This method is slightly faster than killing the shadows when they show up on the island, and it gets the grinding out of the way early. I like to get to level 5 here. It makes the Dark Side boss super easy, and it guarantees a level up to level 6 at the boss fight itself.
Oh man, that really hurt.
After grinding, we do the island chores for Kairi, so we can get some potions and move on to the next story bit. We move on to the second pair of chores, and while doing the chores, we need to challenge Riku to a race. I know a lot of people who struggle with this race, and I can actually give a few tips on how to win every time. When the race starts, make sure Riku falls off the bridge with that loose board. Doing this actually makes him take the long way around. And do not take the zip line. It looks faster than it is, but it is actually just a time waster. It's meant to be a distraction, just run to the coconut trees instead. The last bit of the race that trips people up is this jump at the ledge back to the bridge. When you jump to the ledge, just make sure you are about a foot away from it If you're too close to it, it will clip Sora's big ass clown feet and you will just fall back. But with all that, the race is won and we can move on to do the rest of the chores for Kairi and get a high potion for our efforts. With all the story bits done, it's time for the boss of the Destiny Islands, the real Darkseid fight. This fight is super easy, just whack his hand a lot, and don't get too greedy trying to get tech points, like me, again. We win this fight and get to level 6. This sets us up to not have to grind in Traverse Town almost at all. Speaking of Traverse Town, we somehow end up here and we don't question it even a little bit. We walk around and say hello to Tidus at home, and afterward we just want to hit all the story checks here to move the plot along. Since we don't have to grind, we did all of our grinding on Destiny Island, so we head to the accessory shop, and then we head to the second district. Here you will have to fight some shadows, but they go down relatively easy and with little effort. Then you will want to go through the hotel door, as this will trigger Donald and Goofy and the game can move forward in the story. The next two triggers are here at the Gizmo shop, and then hop down into the Dalmatian house. After these checks are done, we just have to go back to the accessory shop we had visited before. Sid, the ever so lovable man, tells us to get the hell out of his shop since we can't buy anything, and when we leave, Leon tries to jump us to take our only piece of equipment. Honestly, this fight is easier to lose than it is to win, and it is not a fight you have to win. He doesn't give us a lot of XP, and he hits like a truck. You can try to win, but honestly, don't waste any resources on the fight. I said Joel! After the fight with Leon, we are almost done with Traverse Town. We have the real boss fight ahead of us, and this is actually the first real challenge that we have to face. We have to face a horde of soldiers, and right after that, we have to then fight the guard armor. We will die in 2 hits in this fight, so if we get comboed, we are just out, which sadly does happen in our first attempt. First death obtained. Thankfully, during our second attempt, we do get quite lucky with our hit counters and healing opportunities, so we do come out on top this time. This fight does get us to level 7, and we are on track for the rest of the run. After the fight, Donald and Goofy finally join our party, making it so we can use Trinity spots. Even though they are going to be fairly useless for the run, they just give us that oh so nice serotonin boost. I mean, we do also get more party members, but they are going to be primarily used as meat shields. And this also unlocks gummy ship traveling, which is a very hated part of Kingdom Hearts 1, but I just love it oh so much. It just oozes that PS2 charm and just tasty. The first gummy ship ride lands us in Wonderland. This place isn't too hard for the challenge, but it does have one really tough bit that will come up pretty soon. We just walk around for a minute and take out some Heartless, gaining some levels and some EXP, as we need to get to level 11 before we leave Wonderland. Some of the fights here and there can be a bit annoying for our level, but this is only because Goofy keeps pushing them out of the way. Jerk. After all the exploring and fighting, we have gathered evidence for Alice's trial that is happening, and we have also leveled up to level 8. This should set us up for the next fight in Alice's trial fairly well, and we do also get Blizzard. This will prove very useful until we can get Thunder. We go over to the trial, a trial that I have not mentioned, as I do not want to go over a lot of story bits as to not spoil a game from 2002. This trial makes it so we have to fight some card guards, and this was the hard part I was referring to. The fight is honestly not easy for this challenge. We die in about 2 hits, and it is super easy to get comboed. We attempt this fight a few times at our level, and honestly, we just cannot pass it at level 8. We have to give up for the moment and go grind to level 9. It does not take us long to get to level 9, thankfully. All we have to do is just walk around, kill some Heartless that are in each room, and then we finally get the boost we needed. We have now got a little bit of a stat increase and the ever so useful skill, Scan. Feeling juiced up, we go back to attempt the trial fight again, and we try to be a little bit more careful here and use our magic a bit more. Level 9 apparently was the perfect boost, since we can now gauge how much damage we deal to enemies with Scan, making crowd control a breeze. We easily beat the trial and head on to the next boss. The Trickmaster is the boss in Wonderland, and he is very easy. All you have to do is stand under him and do constant jump hits. He will get staggered here and there for a lot of easy damage as well. He has a phase 2 where he uses his juggle pins a little bit more, and he also lights them on fire for more damage. This is pretty far into the fight, however, so if you are a madman like myself, you can just frantically run into the middle of the boss arena and rain your own fireballs onto his face. Now that we are done with Wonderland, our next step is going to be Deep Jungle. I know a lot of people would go to Colosseum next, but there is a very big reason I always go to Deep Jungle first in any type of Kingdom Hearts 1 run. Cure. Cure is going to be super critical for even a run like this, since we die in about 2 hits. Deep Jungle may be a bit higher level than what we are going to be able to handle, but grinding a few levels here will make it so it is not that big of an issue. We hop into Deep Jungle and we get separated from our meat shields, party members, and we have to fight a cute jungle cat that is trying to tear our face off. After the fight, we have Tarzan fill in a party member slot to help us for about 10 seconds before we meet back up with Donald and Goofy to replace him. A quick side note, I will not be using any guest party members throughout this run, as they are going to be a higher level than us technically, due to having a higher level of equipment. To me, that just kind of sets aside the point of the challenge run. We continue with the story bits and leveling up on the way. This world is honestly not too bad, and I actually really like the world. A lot of people like to diss Deep Jungle for being long and confusing, but it's really not that bad. It's very straightforward on where to go. It just has a lot of pathways to go through. We are at a part where we have to go to multiple areas and take out a group of Heartless to get onto the next story bit. And honestly, this part of the story is absolutely amazing for grinding. While we are taking out the Heartless, Jane ends up getting captured and is being held by this big poisonous flower fruit. And in this area is never ending spawning Heartless monkey mans. Since they really only spawn about one at a time, it is very easy to take these Heartless out and just gain a bunch of XP. So we take advantage of this and we get up to level 15. And as you will see in a moment, we will need all the level ups that we can take here. We push on through the rest of the story bits. Clayton gets kicked out of the camp for being a bad boy, and now we have to fight him as a boss. In my opinion, Clayton is one of the most challenging parts of this run as a whole, because my gosh, is he just brutal. The fight starts off with him and a group of Heartless monkey men, and you pretty much have to have luck on your side to get past this part in the fight without getting hit in the bum bum. You are getting attacked from pretty much almost every angle, so you're going to be either getting hit by the monkey men on the sides or Clayton is going to shoot you in the face. And again, let me remind you that we do die in about 2 hits, so you can see why this is a little challenging. But honestly, the first phase is not what is so bad. Phase 2 is what makes you reset over and over and over and over and over again. The main issue with this fight is actually Clayton himself. A lot of people thinks it's the lizard he rides, and while the lizard Heartless does a lot of damage, the issue with Clayton is that he will just constantly shoot you for the same amount of damage that the lizard does, and he will do this constantly. The trick I found to this fight is a mixture of waiting and RNG. Most people, like myself, on the first couple attempts will just spam attack, and on the combo hit, that's actually when Clayton falls off of the lizard. So in essence, if you are just spamming attack on the combo, Clayton will just fall off the lizard a lot faster than if you were just to be patient. And if Clayton does fall off the lizard too soon, you are cooked. You are just Dunzo bunzo. Since this makes it so Clayton will just take a bunch of shots at you and your party, making them die faster, and then in turn, you have to deal with the big bosses alone, while trying not to die in 2 hits. The best strategy I found for this is actually to just be reserved when attacking the combo. When you see the lizard slump down, back off. Instead of doing the 3-hit combos, just hit him here and there. This will cause the HP of the boss to still go down without having Clayton get knocked off. You can continue to do this until the last health bar. You will get to a point where the health just stops going down. And once you get to that part, Clayton will just get launched off automatically. And after that, it's just RNG until you see if you win or die from the combo shooting at you in the face again. After a couple tries with this strat, we were finally able to pull out a win and obtain the ever so lovable Cure. I mentioned it before, the next area that is up is Coliseum, and this area will be very easy compared to the challenge that was Clayton, as honestly, there's not really a whole lot to do here. We just have to go through the rounds of the Coliseum, taking out Heartless that are now child's play to what we had to deal with in Deep Jungle, and then finally fight Cloud. And Cloud in himself is honestly pretty easy. He does hit pretty hard, but now that we have Cure, all we have to do is just wait for openings, dodge when necessary, and make sure to equip counterattack for this fight, which, like the silly little goose I am, completely forgot. Whoops. Even so, Cloud is now done, and we have to fight the real boss of the area, Cerberus. And honestly, this fight is also quite easy. You just have to be patient. The best strat is to not get mauled by the heads, so you just have to pick either the right or left head and swing at it when it's not biting you. I usually do about 2-3 hits maybe, then back off and come right back. And after a couple of minutes, the fight is over and we finally have Thunder, which will be our best damaging spell until later when we get Gravity and Stop. This wraps up Coliseum and the first part of the video. Part 2 will have the second batch of worlds, which will mainly be Part 2 of Traverse Town, Agrabah, Monstro, and Atlantis, possibly also Halloween Town. If you did like the video, please make sure you hit like on it and subscribe to the channel for more Kingdom Hearts content coming in the month of May, where we will have 3 new Kingdom Hearts themed videos, one of them including Part 2 of this particular challenge run. With all that said, my name is Riku. Take care, everyone.